Arnold Schwarzenegger built his action career on muscle, one-liners, and an arsenal of weapons that became just as famous as the man himself. From unstoppable cyborgs to elite commandos, every gun he carried told a story. These 7 firearms changed how we see action movies forever. If you enjoy this breakdown, hit subscribe and turn on notifications so you never miss another deep dive. Starting at number 7, we have the Valmet M78 from Commando in 1985. This Finnish light machine gun turned Arnold into a walking army during one of the most ridiculous and amazing final acts in action movie history. The Valmet came from Finland, built on the same platform as the famous AK-47, but with much tighter manufacturing standards. It fired the powerful 7.62 by 51mm NATO round, the same ammunition used by military snipers and machine gunners around the world. The gun weighed about 10 pounds empty and featured a distinctive thumbhole stock that helped control all that firepower during sustained shooting. In Commando, Arnold plays John Matrix, a retired Special Forces soldier who has to rescue his kidnapped daughter. The movie builds to this insane assault on a compound where Matrix basically takes on an entire private army by himself. And this is where the movie goes full insanity. He loads up the Valmet and just starts mowing down bad guys left and right. The production team modified the gun to fire blanks safely, and if you watch closely, you can spot some funny continuity errors with the ammunition belts appearing and disappearing between shots. Here is something interesting about this weapon. People constantly mistake it for a Russian RPK machine gun because of the similar silhouette. The Valmet actually has Finnish origins tied to Cold War arms exports, and the company built these guns with much better quality control than typical Soviet bloc weapons. The thumbhole stock on the M78 variant was originally designed for precision shooting, which makes it kind of hilarious that Arnold uses it for spraying bullets everywhere. This gun helped establish the over-the-top 1980s action template that movies would copy for years. Realistic or pure movie magic? What do you think? Collectors today pay over $3,000 for original Valmets because import bans made them extremely rare in the United States. Number 6 takes us to the jungle with the M16 SP1 and its fake M203 grenade launcher from Predator in 1987. Arnold played Major Dutch Schaefer, leader of an elite rescue team that encounters something far worse than enemy soldiers in the Central American rainforest. But here is the part most people miss. His primary weapon throughout most of the film is this modified AR-15 variant that looks absolutely business-ready for military operations. The SP1 was actually a civilian semi-automatic version of the M16, produced by Colt starting in 1964. It fired the standard 5.56 by 45mm NATO round from 20 or 30 round magazines. The whole rifle measured about 39 inches long and weighed just under 8 pounds when loaded. Movie armorers converted the SP1 to fire full automatic for the film, which was standard practice in Hollywood at the time. The grenade launcher mounted underneath was completely non-functional, just a prop that added to the tactical appearance. What made this rifle work so well on screen was how it matched Dutch's character. He runs a professional military unit, and the M16 platform represents American military power going back to Vietnam. The jungle setting actually creates some interesting questions about weapon reliability, since the humid environment historically caused problems for the M16 design. The original M16 in Vietnam earned a bad reputation for jamming in wet conditions before the military improved the design. Arnold's SP1 obviously works perfectly because movie guns always do, but real soldiers would have been nervous about that jungle moisture. Do you think Hollywood exaggerated this gun's reliability? The grenade launcher scenes added explosive variety to the firefights, even though the prop launcher could never actually fire anything. This rifle influenced countless survival action movies that came after, and the modular AR-15 platform became even more popular in films and video games. Original SP1 rifles sell for around $2,000 to collectors who want that authentic Vietnam-era appearance. Number 5 brings us to the Frenchy Spaz 12 from the Terminator in 1984. Now, this is where things get crazy. This Italian shotgun became famous for one specific reason. Arnold fires it with one hand during the police station massacre, something no normal human could realistically do. The Spaz 12 was a serious piece of hardware designed for military and police special operations. Frenchy developed it in 1979, and it offered something unique. You could switch between semi-automatic and pump action modes using a button on the forearm. The semi-automatic mode worked great with standard ammunition, cycling the next round automatically after each shot. The pump action mode let operators use special low-pressure rounds like tear gas or breaching shells that did not generate enough gas to cycle the action. The shotgun weighed nearly 10 pounds empty and held 6 to 8 shells in its tubular magazine, depending on the variant. It measured 41 inches with the stock extended and featured a distinctive folding stock and heat shield over the barrel. In the film, the T-800 Cyborg acquires the Spaz 12 from a gun store, where the clerk actually explains some of its real features before becoming the Terminator's first on-screen victim with the weapon. The police station scene is where the shotgun really shines. Arnold walks through hallways blasting officers, firing that heavy shotgun one-handed to show the machine's superhuman strength. Normal humans need both hands to control the Spaz 12's recoil, so this visual shorthand immediately tells you this thing is way stronger than any person. Did you notice this detail on your first watch? The production used multiple versions of the gun, fully functional models loaded with blanks for the shooting scenes, and lightweight rubber props for moments when Arnold needed to toss it around. Early screenplay drafts actually called for a Remington 1100 shotgun, but someone made the smart decision to switch to the Spaz 12 for its more futuristic and aggressive appearance. The Spaz 12 influenced tactical shotgun designs for decades and appeared in tons of movies and video games after the Terminator made it famous. Frenchy stopped production in 2000 after U.S. import bans, and original examples now sell for over $2,000. Number 4 is the AMT Hardballer Longslide from the Terminator. And this pistol might be the most iconic handgun in Arnold's entire filmography. And here is the fun part. The Hardballer was a stainless steel clone of the legendary Colt M, 1911, America's military sidearm for most of the 20th century. Arcadia Machine and Tool built these guns starting in 1977, with the Longslide variant featuring an extended 7-inch barrel for improved accuracy and bullet velocity. It fired the heavy .45 ACP cartridge and held 7 rounds in the magazine plus 1 in the chamber. What made this gun unforgettable was the laser sight mounted on top. In 1984, laser sights were cutting-edge technology, and seeing that red dot track across targets created instant tension. The actual prop used a helium neon laser that required 10,000 volts to operate. Cables ran up Arnold's sleeve to a battery pack hidden in his jacket, and he had to manually activate the laser for each scene. The Laser Products Corporation, which later became the famous Surefire Company, built this custom setup specifically for the movie. The Terminator acquires this pistol during the gun store scene, and it becomes his primary weapon for hunting Sarah Connor. Key moments include the Tech Noir nightclub shootout, where that laser dot sweeps through the crowd, and the systematic killing of women named Sarah Connor throughout Los Angeles. The precision of the laser sight matches the machine's cold, calculating approach to its mission. Which gun here is your favorite so far? Drop it in the comments. Production used multiple versions, hero guns with all the details for close-up shots, and rubber stunt versions for action sequences. The laser effect was actually added in post-production for many shots, because the real laser was too dim or inconsistent. This pistol basically invented the movie trope of laser-sighted weapons being scary and high-tech. Games like Resident Evil copied the visual, and real-world laser sight sales exploded after audiences saw how cool they looked on screen. The Hardballer Longslide also represents Arnold's transformation from bodybuilder to legitimate action star. AMT went bankrupt in 2002, making original Longslide's collectible items worth over $2,000 today. Number 3 takes us back to Terminator 2 Judgment Day in 1991 with the Winchester Model 1887 shotgun. What happens next is legendary. This lever-action shotgun was already over 100 years old when the movie came out, designed by the legendary John Browning back in 1887. It originally fired 10-gauge black powder shells, which were massive compared to modern ammunition. The gun held 5 rounds in its tubular magazine, plus 1 in the chamber, and featured a rolling block action operated by that big loop lever under the receiver. For the movie, armorers sawed off the barrel and modified the lever with an oversized loop. This modification allowed Arnold to perform one of the coolest gun tricks ever filmed, the one-handed flip-cock reload while riding a motorcycle. The T-800 acquires this shotgun from a biker bar early in the film, and it stays with him through the incredible chase sequences that follow. 3 different versions of the Winchester existed for production. The Rosebox version had all the fine details for close-up photography. The flip-cock version included a special metal plate welded inside the lever loop that let Arnold spin the gun around his hand safely. The rubber stunt version was lightweight foam for scenes where the gun might hit something or someone. Arnold actually practiced the flip-cock move so many times he nearly broke his fingers learning the technique. The gun's beautiful condition in the film, with its case-hardened colors still visible, meant the prop department either found a pristine original or did amazing restoration work. Winchester produced about 65,000 of these shotguns between 1887 and 1899. The lever-action design was already outdated for shotguns when pump actions took over the market, but that old-school appearance gave the T-800 character interesting depth. Here is a killing machine from the future, choosing a weapon from the past. Quick question: which of these weapons would you grab in a fight? Let me know in the comments. The flip-cock reload influenced action movies for decades and made the Winchester 1887 a must-have item for collectors. Modern reproductions exist specifically because of this movie, and original examples in good condition sell for $1,500 or more. Number 2 is the EM134 Minigun from Terminator 2, one of the most excessive displays of firepower in cinema history. But here is where it gets insane. This 6-barrel rotary machine gun was developed in the 1960s based on the same principles as aircraft cannons from World War II. The M134 fires 7.62 by 51 mm NATO ammunition at rates between 2,000 and 6,000 rounds per minute, which means it can empty a standard magazine in less than a second. The whole system weighs 85 pounds with ammunition and requires external electrical power to spin those barrels. The T-800 pulls this monster out of a duffel bag during the assault on Cyberdyne systems, and the effect is stunning. He fires at police vehicles and SWAT teams, creating absolute chaos while specifically avoiding killing anyone. The script included this detail because the good Terminator promised John Connor he would not kill humans, so all that destruction happens without a single death. This was actually a modified version of the minigun that appeared in Predator 4 years earlier, adjusted to work better for the specific shots director James Cameron wanted. Real M134 miniguns create massive problems for handheld use. The recoil alone would knock over most humans, and the ammunition weighs so much that carrying enough rounds to fire for more than a few seconds is almost impossible. The electric motor needs serious power, and the barrel assembly gets hot enough to glow red after sustained fire. For a normal person, this is fantasy. For a cybernetic organism with a metal endoskeleton, the movie sells it perfectly. Could any human actually fire this thing standing up? The production limited the firing rate to about 1,250 rounds per minute for the blank ammunition, which was still fast enough to look incredible on camera. Original scripts actually called for Arnold to carry a MAC-10 submachine gun in this scene, but someone realized the potential of going bigger. This scene popularized handheld miniguns in action media influencing everything from the Doom video games to countless action movies that followed. Real M134 systems are restricted to military use, but the image of Arnold holding one became permanently burned into action movie history. Number 1 is the EM1 Railgun from a racer in 1996, a completely fictional weapon that felt like it could be real. And this is where things get absolutely wild. The movie presented these guns as secret prototype weapons, firing aluminum rounds at nearly the speed of light, equipped with X-ray scopes that let shooters see through walls and target enemies by their skeletons. Arnold plays a U.S. Marshal who protects witnesses, and he ends up dual-wielding these ridiculous sci-fi cannons during the climactic warehouse battle. The props were built from metal, resin, and fiberglass, with compressed CO2 creating muzzle effects that looked like energy discharge. Multiple hero versions were constructed for close-up work, and these props later sold at auction for around $10,000 each. The X-ray scope effect showed green-tinted skeleton views of targets, creating some genuinely creepy imagery as Arnold marks the hearts of bad guys before pulling the trigger. Real railgun technology actually exists, and the U.S. Navy has been testing electromagnetic launchers since the 1990s. These weapons use magnetic fields instead of explosive propellant to accelerate projectiles to extreme velocities. The physics in a racer are completely exaggerated, though. Real railguns require massive amounts of electrical power, create visible plasma trails from air friction, and cannot be made portable with current technology. The aluminum rounds in the movie would vaporize from atmospheric friction long before hitting any target at the speeds described. None of that matters for entertainment value. The EM1 represented Arnold's transition into high-tech thriller territory, moving away from pure muscle action into a world of advanced weapons and government conspiracies. The design influenced science fiction weapons in video games and movies for years afterward, and real railgun development programs probably got a few extra interested recruits from people who saw this movie as teenagers. Thanks for watching Real Caliber. See you in the next video.